What's going on, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and all the other platforms that I'm on. Check real quick and make sure that we're going live on all the things. I'm not sure if we're live or not, but we're going to go ahead and see here. Yeah, looky there. We are live. Cool. All right. So just kind of wanted to touch base with everybody and kind of check to see if anyone's seen the stimulus package and all that good stuff. It's hold on one second here. If we're live or not, but we're gonna go ahead and cut the volume. There we go. So here's some of the stuff that's in the stimulus package that you guys need to be aware of. First of all, they beefed up unemployment benefits. What they get, people who are unemployed would get an extra $600 per week for up to 4 months on top of state unemployment benefits to make up for 100% of lost wages. The final agreement provides an extra month of unemployment benefits than what the Senate Republicans had originally sought. Why it matters, a group of GOP senators threatened Wednesday to block a fast-tracked vote on the measure, arguing that some workers would actually get a raise over their actual pay. We have incentivized people not to go back to work, said Senator Lindsey Graham. There's going to be loans to industries up to $500 billion. What they get, the Treasury loans, these are loans, the amount was $500 billion. What they get, the Treasury Department would divvy up a $500 billion pot of loans to struggling industries like airlines, cities, and states. Why it matters, rules added to the bill would order an inspector general and accountability committee to oversee how the money is spent, rather than giving Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin broad power to cut the loan checks. Veterans of the 2008 bank bailout say, however, that the effectiveness of that oversight will only be as strong as the chosen watchdogs and how much power they really have. So basically, they were trying to keep Steven Mnuchin from being able to write checks without any oversight. Checks on the way. All U.S. residents with adjusted gross income up to $75,000, $150,000 for married couples, would get a $1,200 check or $2,400 for couples rebate payment. They are also eligible for an additional $500 per child. The payments would start phasing out for earners above those income thresholds and would not go to single filers earning more than $99,000. Head of household filers with one child, more than $146,500, and more than $198,000 for joint filers with no children. All this info is coming off Politico. You can go and take a look at it if you want to. People who don't pay taxes, such as those with very low incomes, may be hard to reach the way that the program is designed. Hospitals get their wish. What they got, healthcare providers would secure $100 billion in grants to help fight coronavirus and make up for dollars that they have lost delaying elective surgeries and other procedures to focus on the outbreak. They would also get 20% bump in Medicare payments for treating patients with the virus. Why it matters, this figure is exactly what three powerful groups representing physicians, hospitals, and nurses had demanded. Through their nonprofit, hospitals were lobbying for much more, but they are still in questions about whether there will be significant guardrails on how the money will be split up. The coronavirus will hit rural hospitals especially hard, since they already operate on thin margins and have limited staffing capacity. So those lawmakers have been working to ensure enough money goes to those sites. Aid to airlines. You would think that the airlines would have enough money to, operate worldwide, considering what they charge us for baggage and everything else. The airlines are going to get $58 billion. 58 billion. Airlines would receive 29 billion in grants, 29 billion in loans and loan guarantees, as well with reprieve from paying 3 of the major excise taxes on price of a ticket: the fuel tax and cargo tax. That funding comes with strings. That funding comes with strings, though. No stock buybacks and limits on executive compensation to start. Half the funds would go toward the continuation of payment of employee wages, salaries, and benefits, while other half would go to loans, loan guarantees for passenger airlines, repair stations, and ticket agents. Let's see here. Prize for retaining payroll. Businesses would get a tax credit for keeping idled workers on their payroll during the coronavirus pandemic, so long as the business meet certain criteria. They would get a refund for half of what they spent on wages, up to $5,000 per worker. So, with that being said, if an employer were to put somebody on unemployment, such as I am, they don't qualify for this. If they were to keep somebody on the payroll, they would get half of what they're basically paying that person that's still left on the payroll. At least that's how I get it. This is why it matters. To qualify, businesses have to prove that they took a 50% loss compared to the same quarter in years past, and to keep companies from double dipping on aid under the bill. Employers won't be able to get special SBA loans if they opt for the tax credit. See, state and local governments, 150 billion. Pentagon plus gets 10.5 billion. Let's see, minimal aid for insurers. What they get: insurers wanted an emergency fund to offset big losses stemming from the pandemic, as well as premium subsidies to help fund temporary COBRA coverage for laid off workers. They got none of that, although the legislation aims to protect them from price gouging on coronavirus tests. Let's see here. Employers and self-employed individuals, they would get to defer 6.2 tax that they pay on wages. That is used to fund Social Security. The deferred tax would have to be paid over the following 2 years. No cash for the oil stash. So it looks like the oil companies are not going to get any money. Let's see. No help for the homework gap. Cruise industry relief. Yeah. The deal does not appear to include any direct funding for the ailing cruise ship industry, which has been devastated by the pandemic. Well, yeah, you're basically floating around on a giant petri dish, and you can't leave the boat for X amount of time. Only the real sick get to leave. If they get to where they're like deathly ill, they'll send somebody out to pick you up and get you out of there. Which I would, it doesn't surprise me at all that they're not going to help out the cruise industry, because a lot of people got sick on those boats. Let's see. This is the Postal Service. The already underwater U.S. Postal Service won't receive any assistance under the measure, despite House Democrats proposing $25 billion to keep the federal carrier going amid the pandemic, plus language to wipe out its $11 billion debt. Food stamps and child nutrition, $25 billion. So those who are already on food stamps will probably get a bump. The stimulus includes nearly $25 billion for food assistance, including nearly $16 billion for SNAP and nearly $9 billion for child nutrition. This is a big one, and I'm glad that they did this, because these folks are what keep the country going. Relief for farmers and ranchers, $24 billion. So what they get is nearly $24 billion, including $14 billion for an obscure Depression-era financial institution that USDA has wide discretion to use to stabilize the farm economy. Another $9.5 billion would be set aside for emergency aid for agriculture sector, including cattle ranchers and fresh fruit and vegetable growers. That's big for anybody out that's farming or growing fruit or has cattle and stuff like that. So More aid might actually be on the way. Republican senators from a majority cattle producing states like John Hoeven initially sought to replenish the Depression era program with $20 billion, as well as increase the USDA's borrowing authority from the institution to $50 billion. Emergency assistance for schools, $30 billion, which is good because teachers still need to get paid. I know because my wife's a teacher. The final package provides more than $30 billion in emergency education funding for colleges and universities, states, and school districts. Why it matters: House Democrats initially called for double that amount, and certain education groups have asked for significantly more help, urging the government to contribute far more toward special education costs. For example, the distilleries, so if you run a distillery, you might get something here. Distilleries received a temporary exemption from an excise tax for alcohol, which they use to make hand sanitizer. That's produced and distributed within the Food and Drug Administration guidelines. So if you own a distillery, start making hand sanitizer, you'll get a big bonus there. So the stimulus package is $2 trillion. That's with a T, not a B. That's a lot of money. My question is how fast are they going to try and make the American public pay back for this? I don't think that they can. This is what Political reads. It says, the biggest economic stimulus in American history is hurtling toward passage, but Washington's colossal intervention to save the economy will still chooses winners and losers among businesses and American workers. And exactly right. I mean, it's taken them this long to pass anything, and they're not worried about the American people. They don't give two shits about us. I said that last night on a Facebook post. What they care about is retaining power. That's all this is about. The measure includes expanded worker protections. Democrats demanded, along with $500 billion rescue fund Republicans pushed for to help beleaguered U.S. industries. Many Americans will get checks of $1,200 for individuals, $2,400 for married couples. So the hospital industry is getting what it asked for, $100 billion in rescue funds, but the oil industry is getting nothing, and neither are the postal service and the cruise companies. So this gargantuan bill won't make it to President Trump's desk without some last-minute political angst. Senator Bernie Sanders is threatening the bill because it doesn't give enough restrictions on the business bailout, and Republicans think the unemployment aid is too generous. So I kind of covered what's in it. Now I'm not sure if that's all that's in it. I'm sure Pelosi got some stuff snuck in there too that the news companies are not wanting to cover. I'm sure that Planned Parenthood probably got some money. I'm sure that groups like that are probably antsy and trying to get as much money as they can off of them. So you're gonna have to kind of look at it. Who ended up getting the biggest benefit on the whole thing? Well, I'll tell you the ones that got screwed the most, and that's the American public. That's exactly who it is. I mean, $2,400 doesn't go a long ways whenever you're stuck at home and not working. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of cover some of that stuff. I can go on here and see if there's any other related stuff here. Give me a second while I'm digging through my archives here. When was this printed here? Basically, we're getting like $2,400, and if you have kids, you might get a little bit more than that. You probably get another $500 a kid, which that's fine. I mean, that might last a week once you go in to buy food. supplies, things like that. But anyway, hit me up. Let me know what you think. I personally think that it's not near enough. Hey, Deborah. I bet, yeah, total BS. Yep. What's up, stranger? Kara Ellen Duvall. Yeah, I completely agree. It's all crap. um, Idaho just passed a stay-at-home order. Yeah. We already knew that. What's up from Kentucky? Not a whole lot, man. Steven Martinez, what's up? James Blow, thank you for the information. You're doing great. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, it's people that want to get this stuff out that is going to make the difference. So, you know, we need to get as much stuff out as we can. You know, the American public need to know this stuff, and not everybody has a chance to, you know, go online and look, and not everybody has, you know, internet. I mean, you know, if you're not working, you're not paying your bills, who knows what you have? So I think it's important for people to be able to go on and spread the information. Luckily, I've got a decent setup here at home that I can kind of spread it out. But no matter what we end up doing, the thing is what I've understood is Congress don't care. They don't care. It's all about retaining power for whatever party you're in. And I don't know how we're going to fix the two-party system or how we're going to fix Washington. I know how it should be done, but you know, there's not enough people out there that have enough guts, enough balls, or anything to do it, or planning. You know, no one's got a big enough plan to make it happen, and unfortunately, Congress gets the virus. I hope they get it, and I hope that they see what we're having to deal with. You know, the problem is if they do catch it and they're not working, we still have to pay their ass. So they'll get their money. I guarantee you. They're not the ones that are going to be struggling. It's the American public that are struggling. Deborah, actually, you know, here in our neighborhood, we really don't have too many elderly people. Yeah, exactly, Craig Hollis. So big government and big business gets theirs, but how long are Americans going to be out of work? And the big questions, how are we going to get their money back? Exactly. You know, what they're going to do is this, any kind of stimulus package or any kind of thing that they do where they try and bail out the American public, they get their money back, and they do that by taxes. And so don't be surprised. I know Trump passed the tax break and everything when he ran and when he came in, but I guarantee you they're not going to John, you're not elderly. Come on, dude. I've seen you work out. You're fine. Anyway, what they're going to do is you're going to start seeing increases on your taxes at the end of the year. Crap. Hold on. Hello. Hello. We got a poor connection network. Hello. You there? Yeah, I got someone that's trying to call me on Skype. Sorry about that, folks. That's kind of weird. Let me let him know that there's a poor connection. Anyway, yeah. So you know, Congress and Washington, they're going to get it. They're going to nail us through taxes. It's not going to be. It'll probably be very small. They'll sneak it in. They'll find a way to add taxes on top of us. So, expect it. You know, I mean, that's what they do. They sit there and they screw us because they can. We allow them to do it. You know, the American public is so comfortable in all the little things that we have, our gadgets, our shiny things, our, you know, I hate to say it, but the conservatives are happy with their guns. And you know, as long as we have our guns, we're quiet. We don't make too big of a fuss. And you know, oh, hold on. Hello. Hey, looky there. you doing? Hold on. Can you? Oh yeah. No. Wow, that was really loud. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. I have to call him back here in a little bit. That was rough. So anyway, I'm gonna get off here. I just wanted to kind of cover some of the stuff that's in the stimulus package. So take it for what it is, and if you want to look up some of the articles, politicals where I got that information from, make sure you check it out.